Good morning, everyone. My name is Faizan Syed, F as in Frank, A-I-Z-A-N, Syed, S as in Sam, Y-E-D. And I'm the Executive Director for the Council on American Islamic Relations in Missouri, or CAIR-Missouri for short. This morning we're here because of a problem that exists inside the United States. For years, America has always struggled with living up to its ideals of being a nation that welcomes everybody, is equal and fair to everybody. Whether it's bottom lining or redlining that has kept African Americans out of neighborhoods and kept African Americans away from opening up business in certain parts of the city, we now have the same problem here in 2017 at Country Club Hills, where the Mutman family has been trying to open up a laundromat within this community, and they've been repeatedly denied by this mayor of Country Club Hills simply because they happen to have the wrong race, they happen to have the wrong religion. This Palestinian Muslim family has been denied even though they spent over $400,000 investing in the laundromat and over $2 million within their business here. A quote I'd like to read from the former chief of police, Clifton Warren, when he was actually asked about this. He says, and I quote, that the mayor, Bender McKinney, said, "You allowed that trash to come into Country Club Hills and open businesses, and now I'm going to clean house. You allowed that trash to come into Country Club Hills, and now I'm going to clean house." Another quote that I'd like to read from Alderwoman Tilawana Wells. She would say that the mayor would refer to the Mutman family as those people, calling them trash. He would often say that those people should go back home, that they don't belong here, and I don't want them in our neighborhood. My brothers and sisters, this is unacceptable. That in 2017, that a family who invests $400,000 and over $2 million is denied access to open up a business because the mayor's bigoted prejudice is preventing them from doing that. Right now, I'd like to invite their attorney, Jay Kanzler, to come and give us more details specifically about their case. Mr. Kanzler.
Thank you. Jay Kanzler, Jaykanzler.
No, you sir. Thank you.
I'm the attorney for the Mouton family and for the business here. The Mouton family has filed suit against the city of Country Club Hills, its mayor Bender McKinney, and several of the alderwomen or alder persons to stop the systematic discrimination that's going on because of their national origin and their religion. The Mouton family came here from Palestine. Many of them are U.S. citizens. The remainder of them are permanent residents. And it's beyond disgraceful that the mayor of any city would call its residents trash or refer to them as illegals, tell others at City Hall that those people need to go home, that we don't need those people in our neighborhood, and to tell the chief of police, you let that trash into Country Club Hills, now I'm going to clean house. It's an embarrassment to all of us in this larger community that is working toward rebuilding and towards unity. And it's also a black eye for all those municipalities out there that believe in self-governance when, you know, we look at a municipality like this run by a mayor who would act in this way towards people of another race and religion. These statements by the mayor are documented in sworn affidavits from former police chief Clifton Ware and former alderwoman Tia Wells. The city of Country Club Hills, like many of the smaller municipalities, is darn near broke. They can no longer rely upon traffic ticket revenue like they used to. So why would you try to run a family out of town, a family that's invested almost $2 million in new businesses and construction, a grocery store, a laundromat, a gas station, a convenience store, that bring in tax revenue to the city, that give jobs, and that the people here have asked for and petitioned for? Why would you do that? And based upon the statements coming out of City Hall, based upon the affidavits that we've collected, you do that because you don't want those people in your town. You don't want Americans from Palestine. You don't want Muslims living in your neighborhood, and that is deeply troubling. So we are here today joining with CAIR, asking for the resignation of the mayor and asking for a full investigation into the illegal and disgraceful conduct by the city of Country Club Hills toward this family and its residents. There are copies of the affidavits available to you, and I have a copy of the complaint that was filed in federal court, and if anyone has any questions, we would be happy to. And let me introduce,
Sir, I was gonna say, this is your client, sir?
and let me introduce here Saddam Mouton. He is one of the Mouton family members. He primarily runs Mally's grocery store, has a great relationship with the people in this town. You know, this is a family that's invested back into the community time and time again. When the police department here needed bulletproof vests, they didn't have bulletproof vests. Mally's, Saddam's store, gave them $5,000 for bulletproof vests. So this is a family that's invested back into the community. It's not a family just taking from the community. They're part of this, and to be treated this way now is, I think, disheartening at the least to them, and for me, a disgraceful conduct.
So they own 4 businesses, it sounds like you listed. Is this the only one, the laundromat that can't open, is this the only one in Country Club Hills?
The only laundromat in Country Club
Well,
Hills?
no, is this the only family business in the city limits?
I'm not aware of who owns the other businesses. The laundromat currently is ready to go. They put $400,000 into it. They won't allow them to open with a business license that's unrestricted. The mayor has time and time again put together a list of things saying, well, if you do this list of 25 things, you can open. If you do this, you can open, none of which are permitted under the ordinance of the city. And at this point, they tried to work with the city and have just decided they will let the court intervene and say they're entitled to that. The grocery store is open. That's what Saddam operates 24 hours a day. The gas station and convenience store is under construction. They bought that property from the city of Country Club Hills, a vacant lot that had nothing but trash on it. They paid the city $125,000, and they're building a convenience store gas station there. And they own some other properties that they're developing. So again, they put $2 million into this community when others in the community are leaving.
So, but this is the laundromat's the only one that's gotten trouble opening?
No, this isn't the first time they've had trouble with this particular alderman. When they purchased the property from the city to build a gas station convenience store, it was with a convenience store that sells beer and wine. And so they paid the money for the grocery store and then went back shortly thereafter and said, by the way, can we have our liquor license? And this same group said, no, we're not going to give you a liquor license. We battled them on that, and ultimately they gave in and said, you're right, we promised that, we sold you the property, here's your liquor. But, you know, this is more than about a business license. Right now it's about a course of conduct, systematic discrimination. This is, the business license is a pretext. It's what is behind the business license, and that's the discrimination that's been ongoing for several years now.
So they will not, so they're just denying the business. I mean, what happens, what's the dispute?
The dispute, as it relates to just the business licenses, the city ordinance says you come in, you pay for a business license, I think it's $100, you get a business license. There are no restrictions on the hours of businesses, and the city clerk hands you the license. But then they went in and said, we'll take our business license now. The clerk said, wait a minute, the mayor says no. Why? And then we went through this process. I think the last iteration of restrictions is they said, well, we'll give you a license, but you can't be open 24 hours, even though there is no law there has been no law in Country Club Hills restricting hours. And in fact, the grocery store right next door is open 24 hours. So again, it's a moving target with the mayor because the ultimate goal is make sure these folks are run out of town.
What is the time frame then so far from the beginning of trying to get into the one?
I think they initially were ready to open in early November, and there were some discussions, and that's when these lists, these inspections. Now, the city of Country Club Hills is too small to even perform its own building inspections, so they delegate that to the county of St. Louis. The county of St. Louis has repeatedly inspected and passed this business. It's the mayor and another alderman that have gone out and said things like, you know what, we're not going to give you a business license unless you offer free Wi-Fi, and unless you put a free Wi-Fi sign up, and unless you sell cell phones, and unless you have drop-off and pickup, and unless your concrete is gray. he's pulling these things out of thin air. This has been ongoing since November, and it was finally in January where we tried and we tried, that this business has been ready to open for more than 2 months, coming up on 3 months, that they decided they had to go to court. And this week we had a hearing on a temporary restraining order in federal court. The court denied the temporary restraining order, citing to the extraordinary remedy of a restraining order and saying that it should not be entered lightly. That just means that they won't be allowed to open the business unrestricted during the pendency of the lawsuit. But the court did note, as it related to the discrimination part, that there was a likelihood of success on the merits of the discrimination claim, especially as it related to the statements by the mayor directed to this family.
So you've alleged the mayor obviously has overstepped his boundaries of his elected office, and that also you're claiming is racist and a bigot toward this family. So what does your federal lawsuit seek to do? What's the end game?
You know, at the beginning, it was about the business license. Just give them the license. It's become more than that now, given the revelations of the ongoing discrimination. So the federal lawsuit says, stop discriminating against this family in any way. Don't tell the chief of police, which the former chief of police in a sworn affidavit said, he told me to go on their lot, sit on the lot, harass the family, harass the customers, all with the intent of interfering with the business. So now the federal lawsuit says, give them the license because they're entitled to it, but more importantly, stop discriminating against this family. I think it's important to note that this family loves the community of Country Club Hills. They are residents here. They spend more time in Country Club Hills than they spend at home with their family, because that's what you do in a small business. And they love the people here. It's not about Country Club Hills who say, well, why don't you just leave? Because this is their family. This is where they really enjoy being, and they've invested a bunch of money here. At the end of the day, though, it's some folks in there. Maybe they need to go and start thinking about the best interest of their entire community.
Sir, does your client wish to make a statement?
I think not at this time. If you have a particular question, I'm sure we would answer it, but I thank you very much. Again, I have the affidavits and the complaint. If you want to take those back with you, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Yeah, Jay, can I get a copy of the complaint?
Yeah.